Today we conclude our spiritual lessons about the physical body, or the magic suit, as I like to call it. You know, if you recall, we started the month with an overview of the spirituality of birth and death and everything in between. And then one Sunday we did the whole head and shoulders, knees and toes thing. We did that. We won't do that again. But today I want to conclude with some of the things that we do get to learn as we live a physical life using a body as one of the tools that we're given. Ernest Holmes refers to the body as an instrument. He says this: if the spirit or divine intelligence has seen fit to give us a physical body, it would be absurd to think of the body as an illusion unworthy of our attention. Rather, we should think of the body as a spiritual instrument now. The body as an instrument. It's an interesting way to look at it, isn't it? You know, if you've ever used an instrument, what I know is that the more you use your instrument, the more you spend time with it, the more you practice with it, the more you learn from it, right? So as I considered the physical body as an instrument I'm using throughout this existence, I wondered what my body had taught me. What did my body teach me? So today I want to share some of the wisdom that I've learned from living inside my magic suit of a body. And I'm actually going to share 12 lessons, big things that I've learned in my 58 years of living, almost 50. No, I did turn 58. 58 years of last Monday. I haven't gotten used to that number yet, of being in a human body. So, and as I go through these things that I've learned about being in a body, you'll soon see that these little pieces of wisdom are applicable to many aspects of our lives. You might want to consider them truth, if you will, with a capital T. And if you're a note taker, as I said, there's going to be 12 of them, so here we go. The first one is this: balance is critical to living optimally. This lesson is one that takes most of us a very long time to learn. Too much of a good thing is not a good thing, right? You know, my body has been one of the biggest teachers of this lesson in my life because it shows me very quickly and emphatically when I'm out of balance. If I don't get enough sleep, if I'm too active, I actually get sick. You know, if I eat too much birthday cake, I get a little bloated and not very comfortable in my body. If I don't move enough, I get weak. If I don't get some sunscreen and get too much sun, I get burnt. Not enough quiet time and I'm a little jangled, right? Balance. So basically, my fine-tuned instrument of a physical body is kind of my barometer for balance of every kind. So balance is critical to living optimally. The second lesson is what is good for me may not be good for anyone else, and that's okay. And that's okay. By living all these years in my body, I've realized that I really can't compare my needs to anyone else's. My schedule has to be my schedule. My patterns that so beautifully support me may not work for you. My tolerance for pain may be wildly different than yours. My taste might not be your taste. What fits me perfectly may be too small for you or too big for you. So there's a strong spiritual lesson in this one. Basically, it is comparison is a colossal waste of time. Colossal. We're all on our own individual road of evolution and growth, and we need to stick to our own lane, so to speak, right? Lesson number 3. Inner beauty is enduring and meaningful, while outer beauty is superficial and fleeting. But both kinds of beauty require effort to achieve and maintain. So let's talk about this one for a second. Many years ago, I learned the hard way that outer beauty may be appealing and attractive, but inner beauty is far more important to me. While a person may be physically lovely, the appeal is only temporary if the insides don't match the outsides, right? Beautiful features do not equate to beautiful words and actions. You know, most people I admire and love have worked very hard to develop their inner selves, right? They've done major work in healing therapy or spiritual healing. They've allowed bitterness to kind of move away through deep forgiveness. They have gratitude kind of pouring out of their hearts. They work to be impeccable with their word and their choices and strive to stand in integrity. They take responsibility for their actions and outcomes. All of those things to me are inner beauty. And the second part of this lesson is important too. Both outer beauty and inner beauty require effort to sustain once you've achieved them. And the most magical part of this is I've watched people work on their inner beauty and watch their outer beauty transform before my very eyes. The body is amazing. This lends me to my fourth lesson. The mind informs the body, and the body informs the mind. So our mind, which is part of the universal mind, the one mind that we talk about, communicates with our body, and our body communicates with our mind. So let's dive into that one a little bit. So our mind is powerful. Our minds are powerful. We talk about that all the time. We can accept what we call race consciousness, which is basically the sum of what humanity holds as common beliefs, and allow all of that to give our body direction, or we can purposefully and intentionally choose to think differently, and our bodies respond to that too. I think our experiences in life are kind of a combination of what we absorb from the world around us and what our own mind is doing. Let me give you a personal example of this one. I might have shared this story with a few of you in the past, but let me share it now. So a few years ago, I had to take some very serious antibiotics for just a wicked sinus infection, okay? And as a result, when you take too many antibiotics, remember, too much of a good thing's not a good thing, my gut got all messed up. And I developed something called C. diff, okay? Just know you don't want it, right? It shows up as diarrhea, and it was quite unpleasant, to be honest. I took medicine, and I would get better for a little while, and then it would flare up again, and it would just come roaring back, and I would be very, very sick again. I'd have to test again. Don't want to know about that either. Test again, more medicine, and this cycle continued for weeks. So Terry and I had only been seeing each other for just a short time. So as you can imagine, this was not a great time to be having that going on. C. diff is not fun, right? It was embarrassing. And I had no strength to enjoy everything we were doing. I was so very sick. So obviously, I had a great person to nurse me through it, right? But there came a day when I was done with it. I was sick of it. I was done with it. I came to the breakfast table and I looked at Terry and I said, I'm done. That is it. I am done with this C. diff crap. Literally. I'm done. And I said, I release any attachment, known or unknown, to being sick, to having you take care of me. I am done. I'm done. And she will tell you, I had no symptom whatsoever from that moment on. I cannot explain how this happened, but what I do know is that I interrupted the thought patterns about this illness. I interrupted them. Up until that moment of clarity and decision, I had pretty much accepted everything the literature, the web, whatever said about C. diff. And my body responded as expected as a C. diff patient. Then I had the personal decision to change my communication from my mind to my body. I changed my experience, and my mind and my experience changed. You know, I'm sure you've had experiences like that too. So I invite you to become super aware of the words that are spoken over your body and your acceptance of them. Be mindful of the agreement you make with the words that are spoken, or the expectations you begin to hold firmly, so firmly that you actually experience the very thing you're expecting to experience. I believe we have more power over our bodies than we know. So another way our mind communicates with our body is by telling the body when we are in stress or worried or happy or joyful, right? Our emotionally charged thoughts trigger our body, what do they trigger? Hormones, chemical processes to begin to happen. So of course, many things are happening in our body all the time automatically and we don't think about them. However, a lot of body functions can be responsive to our thoughts, right? We can hold our breath, we can change our muscles, we can change our movements, whatever. We can purposefully change many things in our bodily functions by letting our mind take over the automaticity of our body. But here's the thing, the communication works both ways. It works the other direction too. Our body also communicates with our mind if we pay attention and tune in with it. So there's a physical feeling of no in your body, and there's a physical feeling of yes in your body. And our bodies, if we pay attention to them, can nudge us in the direction of where we're supposed to go. How many of you have ever developed a physical symptom that kept you from doing something you didn't want to do in the first place, but you agreed to do it because it was the right thing to agree to do, and your body said, and gets you sick? How many of you have had that experience? It happens. All the hands are raised. Because if we don't listen to the inner voice of ourselves, our inner yes or no, our body will make us listen to it, right? Our bodies also signal that things are just right and joy is present. How does that show up in our bodies? We can get a definite yes. Excitement feels different to everybody, but there will be sensations when joy is present. What are they? Goosebumps, spontaneous laughter, surges of energy, unplanned clapping or jumping, which is what happens when I get birthday cake. Yay! These are the ways that our bodies signal that you're on the right track. So pay attention and know that sometimes we can't hide our no, and sometimes we can't hide our yes either. Our minds have greater power over our bodies and over the experiences we have, and our bodies are full of truth that our minds need to know. That's the lesson here. My fifth lesson is this, one word, oneness. So while I don't have to fully understand the concept of oneness and how it works, every cell in my body depends on every other cell to maintain its function and health for the overall good of the organism of my body, right? If I mistreat one set of cells, the rest of my body will eventually suffer for it. Can you relate to that, right? So an easy example is this. I learned pretty young that if I ignored my mom's advice to wear the correct shoes for something, my body would eventually feel the effect of that. My back would eventually hurt from the poor arch support or whatever. I might get a headache, and then the headache may cause me to need to lie down and miss lunch, and then that would throw my blood sugar off, right? And then give me the shakes or whatever, and then my mind would not be able to focus, and I would miss a cue that my mom needed my help, and boy, then it's all just over, right? All because I didn't wear the right shoes. I didn't take care of those cells, and all the rest of those things were impacted by it. So our bodies are a fabulous example of the power of understanding oneness. When one thing hurts, it all hurts. When one thing's feeling better, we all get better, right? So do unto others is the universal message of oneness, and it's through my body that I can truly kind of understand that. My sixth lesson, flexibility is only maintained with stretching. Okay, so my body has major lessons to teach me about flexibility. So I've never been flexible physically. I have these tight hamstrings, and if I don't stretch, I never really have been able to bend very well, to be quite honest. But when I was younger, I was more flexible and physically resilient than I am now. The problem is I never practiced staying that way, right? So sometime many years ago, I stopped stretching. And my work that I do has me sitting a lot, as you can imagine. And quite frankly, somehow I believe that stretching was a colossal waste of time, right? So I can get a massage, I can do exercise or whatever, but my body remains pretty stiff and inflexible. So maybe it's never too late to work on that, but check back with me on that. But this life lesson goes far beyond the physical body, right? Stretching is so important on the non-physical realm as well. Because when we get too stuck in our position, we quickly become inflexible, don't we? We have a hard time seeing another perspective when we've been looking out the same window for a very, very long time. The lesson here is to never stop stretching our bodies and never stop stretching our mind and our hearts. The seventh lesson is this, and it's what I wrote my newsletter about this week actually. Strength is developed through challenges. So when we push past resistance and endure through the hard stuff, our strength grows. My body taught me that. You know, when you go to the gym, you know that when you challenge your muscles, what do? They break down, they get sore, but they grow back stronger. We can lift more and do more if we push through the increments of greater and greater difficulty. If we shrink back from the challenges that life brings to us, we're going to stay weak and small. And if we rise to them and tap into our inner vitality, we can grow and strengthen. And strength has many synonyms, and I said that in my newsletter, we develop these as we go through the challenges of life. Resolve, determination, perseverance, resilience, patience, finesse, skill, silence, wisdom, power, vitality, and you can probably name a whole bunch more to add to that list because they show up as strength. And we develop our inner strength the same way we develop our muscular physical strength, by doing hard things and challenging our limits. Lesson number 8. The body must stay in the present moment, so let your mind and heart follow it into the now. So here's the deal. Try as I may, I cannot time travel. I want to, but my body stubbornly stays right here every time. My mind can be in a million different places, and my emotions kind of go right along with my mind into the past, into the future, whatever. But my body stays put right where it belongs, where the oxygen is, where I can do something, where the power resides now. And we can use the body to feel into the holy moment right here before us. We can use the body to become fully and completely present to the right here, right now moment. Our bodies are our connection to this exact point in space and time. Because as I said, my mind, my consciousness can be anywhere. When we turn ourselves to this moment, we use the body, the breath, our eyes, our skin, or whatever. We can choose a sensation and focus on it and bring us back and anchor us here. They're spiritual instruments, and if we use them, we can attune ourselves to the possibility contained in this moment. Listen to our body. They're constantly communicating us, but we have a greater possibility of being more fully alive and free right now. The 9th lesson is this. Every age is a good age with different gifts. So we all know that the social message is that to be young is always best. However, what my life and my body has taught me is that youth is fabulous for the expression of physical vitality, but older age is fabulous. 58 is fabulous for the expression of wisdom and spiritual vitality. So what I've come to realize is that there are certain people we want to be older, right? We kind of prefer a doctor that's had some years of experience under her belt, right? Especially a surgeon. We don't want a young surgeon. We want an experienced old surgeon, in my opinion. How about a therapist? We really want someone who's been around the block a few times, seen some things, if they're going to have to share some wisdom for us. I want them to have untangled a whole bunch of knots before they start working on mine, right? I think the average age of a ministerial graduate is in their 50s in our organization. It takes a while, right? But on the flip side, if we're going to recruit baseball players or really any type of sports person, for the most part, youth has the advantage, right? So if you need a surrogate mother, younger is probably better. Someone to get something out from underneath the bed, get the smallest and youngest among us, right? But the trick is to enjoy the age you are now. Young people waste a ton of time wanting to be older, and us older folks waste a ton of time wanting to be younger. Now is where your power lies. You might be creating different things with your power at different ages, But regardless, your power is only accessible and available to you now. My 10th lesson's a good one. Sensuality is the prime experience of being human. So the whole point of having a magic suit is to live in it and maximize the experiences we have by utilizing the senses that our body has. There's simply nothing better in my mind, really, than being completely satisfied sensually. If I am being touched in a way that feels amazing, while at the same time I'm hearing great music that I love, and I'm at the same time tasting something yummy and smelling something wonderful in a beautiful setting, that's just heavenly, right? So let's see a PG rated version of that. Like sitting on the beach with sand and sun on my skin, eating chocolate, gotta have chocolate, and smelling suntan lotion and listening to favorite music. I think that's all 5 senses are fulfilled. So sensuality is the point of being in a body. My body's taught me that I'm more deeply satisfied with living in my life if I can regularly experience sensuality. Find or create as many moments like that as you can. 11th lesson is about self-love. Self-love is the gateway to giving and receiving more love. The basic truth is, if I don't care for myself enough to love myself, I'm not going to be open to giving and receiving the love that I deeply want. And quite frankly, if I don't love and care for myself, I won't be around to love and care for others. So have you ever heard the saying that no one can love you more than you love yourself? It's true. Because what is love? Love is active love, is forgiveness and compassion and caring. And if we don't extend forgiveness and compassion and caring towards ourselves, we can't receive those things from anyone else because we're going to have that wall up and push it away and not feel worthy of it. No one else can take care of our needs. We've got to take care of them ourselves. No one else can forgive us until we forgive ourselves. No one else can show us compassion until we can experience self-compassion. The door can only be opened from the inside. And here's my final lesson that my body teaches me. Everything in physical form decays and transitions eventually. Our bodies are temporary. We don't like to think of them that way, but they are. And my body has continuously taught me that throughout my life and throughout yours, everything is temporary. Our body produces parts of itself that are extremely temporary, and they come and go quite quickly and frequently, while other parts of the body are coming and going more slowly. So what goes quickly? Hair, nails, skin, those things visibly transition all the time. But on the invisible side of the body, science tells us that every cell in our body is replaced every 7 to 10 years. Think about that for a second. And guess what cells go the slowest? Fat cells. It truly isn't fair. But anyway, we must accept the truth that all forms are temporary, including our magic suit. So our physical bodies are temporary. And I'm encouraging you to learn everything you can from being in yours. Pay attention and listen to the wisdom that your body has and the lessons it's trying to teach you. I've shared 12 things that I've learned from being in mine, and in Sacred Cup this morning, other people shared theirs, and yours may be very different. Because our bodies are individual expressions of God, let's don't dismiss them and think that they're not here, that we're here to be spiritual and not to be in our bodies. That doesn't make sense. We got to recognize our bodies as the divine instruments that they are and use them to have a very deep experience of life. The bottom line is, your body is not who you are, but your body is a holy instrument that your spirit uses to communicate with life itself, including the life that lives through you. You are a spiritual being having a human experience right inside the beautiful body that you inhabit right now. Listen to your body, honor your body, celebrate your body, and love your body. And so it is. Thank you so much.